So it's March 12th. This water's still cold. It's still winter, but we're approaching spring, and this river's flooding. And this creek, this tributary, is really backed up like a little pond, and that's what we've been fishing today. We've caught a number of nice fish today. Our pattern overall has been something small and black and lifting up off the bottom. Starting with this small trick worm. That lifting up off the bottom, it's a floating soft plastic. That profile speaks to them. The hair jig, obviously the hair is a hollow shaft that has air in it, and that lifts up off the bottom. And lastly, we have the imitation craw tube. This was our biggest profile that we've caught something on today. And the way that it's rigged, it does sort of hinge on the worm nose weight that I made with my Do It mold. All of these items here, we fished very slow on the bottom with, drag it a little bit, let it sit there for a minute, and really wait for the fish to find it. In this muddy water, it's really all about their lateral line. What I've got here is a Venom trickster worm in black, and this is a floating black worm. All right, that real buoyant property of this soft plastic really looks good on a jig head. I don't like how big the profile is for as cold as we're fishing, so I'm just trimming that up a little bit. So my 6-inch worm is now about a 3-inch worm, and I'm rigging that on just a worm nose jig head. That's a good one. Come on. Ooh. On the Venom floating trick worm, I think is what they call it. Ah, get in there. Look at that! Ha ha! Mustard yellow. Eating a black worm. Alright. He's a nice one. See ya. The reason I rig them not straight like that, it keeps, you have the line coming up like that. It keeps that floating worm, it's curled just a little bit. We're so conditioned to rig everything straight so it doesn't corkscrew on the way back, but I like to do that because it makes it so that hook won't lay on its side and snag stuff. If it keeps, you keep it up like that, just like a football head will, it'll keep that hook upright. But yeah, gets that curved worm, keeps that hook out of trouble. I'm going in just as much brush, with this as I did with the weedless rig just a second ago, and it's coming out clean. So just follow the straight shank a little bit, just a little bit into the bend with the floating worm like that. Go get another. He whacked it. He went boom. He was right on the creek channel coming right through here. I felt it coming across that spot where we've been getting them. Very slow presentation. Drag it a couple inches, then let it sit for a minute.
Look at this. Look at that. Oh, give me a second. Oh, my stomach's actually turning because I'm so excited. Got a black hair jig, rabbit jig. Just retrieving the jig in, and just kind of, it was just there. Just kind of, felt like maybe like a leaf or a stick, and I just kind of checked it a little bit and got that tug and that resistance, and no real, thump or any strike. It was just kind of dead weight.
Nice fish.
Just tying up a rabbit hair jig here. This is a jig I tied on a Do It worm nose mold, Matsuo size 1 sickle hook, and works real good for early in the season this time of year. It's a pretty sharp looking jig here, and I'm really happy with the way they come out. You can take your time and tie them up real nice, but I got a buddy of mine who just blows through them, and basically if you can get some hair on a hook, and get it in front of a fish, it's gonna catch fish. I mean, his jigs that he ties can be just butt ugly sometimes, and there's hair falling all off them, and they just look nasty. But he right there, you know, fish for fish when we're fishing together. You know, they work. So if a guy looking into getting into tying, he's thinking he's going to get started doing this and thinking, well, you know, can I do it good or whatever, doesn't matter. If you can get some hair on a hook, it's going to catch a fish.
All right, we're punching the slop for winter river smallmouth, which is a technique that is definitely outside of my comfort zone, but it works because they're really concentrated up here in this flooded creek. What I'm using today is a Venom imitation craw tube, and we're fishing straight down below us because there's a lot of water in this creek. You start with this soft plastic, and I'm going to trim the tail off to make it a little bit smaller profile. This is a worm nose weight, one I made from a Do It mold I have, and all I'm doing is shoving that weight right in the tail, and that's going to make that fall tail first, which brings the claws up like that, and we're, like I said, fishing straight down. One thing I like about this particular bait, the imitation craw tube, is that cavity. There's a hollow spot in there. A lot of crayfish like this are solid bodied. But that allows me to put this glass rattle right down in there, which I think appealing to their hearing or their lateral line is important in this really muddy water. All right, so then I got this is I think a 4/0 extra wide gap hook. And I'm just rigging it just like you'd rig a worm. That's the worm nose weight on a Venom imitation craw tube. Slop punching with it. Straight down in this muddy water. Same spot. That time a much shorter cast. He thumped it though. Tucked way back in there. I had cast at that spot a bunch of times with longer casts from across, and it wasn't until I get right up in there that I get different angles, and this was the right angle. He got it good. These fish need to eat. He's nice and he's pale, but they need to eat. It's early March and they gotta feed up and spawn here shortly. And he meant to eat it. Hello. He's big. Oh yeah.
The segment you just watched is a preview of my Winter River Smallmouth Patterns DVD. It will be released in November 2011.
Yeah. Got him.
First of many seasonal patterns DVDs covering summer river smallmouth tactics will be available in late April 2011.
Catching fish in winter? It's no trouble at all.
To learn the basis of pattern development, get a copy of River Kayak Fishing Skills, a river runner's lesson plan, available through BlueRidgeKayakFishing.com or KayakBassFishing.com.